Listen to me for a minute, because this can save you from months, even years of confusion. Some words sound normal at first. They sound casual, small, easy to excuse. But certain phrases tell you everything you need to know about a man's mindset, his respect for you, and what kind of future he brings into your life. If you miss them, you can end up trapped in a cycle of doubt, overthinking, and emotional exhaustion. If you catch them early, you protect your peace before the damage gets deep. In this video, I want to show you 5 phrases that should make you step back fast. Not later, not after another chance. Fast, and stay with me, because the last one is quiet, almost innocent on the surface, yet it has destroyed the confidence of so many women without them even realizing it. This is not about becoming cold. It is not about fearing love. It is about seeing clearly. It is about hearing the truth inside the words. And once you hear these phrases the right way, you will never listen to them the same again. What matters is not only what a man says, but what his words do to your body, your mind, and your sense of self after the conversation is over. Before we get into the 5 phrases, understand this first. Many women were taught to explain away bad behavior, to see hidden potential instead of present reality, to be patient when they should be protective, and to give endless understanding to people who have done nothing to earn it. That training runs deep, so deep that many women no longer trust the first warning inside their own chest. They feel uneasy, then talk themselves out of it. They feel disrespected, then minimize it. They feel manipulated, then call it a misunderstanding. But your body notices what your mind tries to excuse. Your energy notices, your nervous system notices. That heavy feeling after a conversation, that confusion, that strange urge to prove yourself, that tiredness you cannot explain, it is often your inner alarm telling you something is off. Pay attention to that. The man you allow close to you will shape more than your love life. He can affect your confidence, your sleep, your friendships, your career focus, your family relationships, and the way you speak to yourself in private. That is why this matters so much. This is not just dating advice. This is self-protection. This is emotional survival. And if you learn these signs early, you stop wasting your best years trying to understand people who are showing you the truth from the start. Watch closely now, because the first phrase is one of the most common and one of the most damaging. The first phrase is this: you're too sensitive. Sometimes it comes out a little differently. You're overthinking. You're doing too much. You always make things bigger than they are. But the message is the same. He is trying to make you distrust your own emotional response. This is not a small thing. When a man says this after he has hurt you, ignored you, embarrassed you, or crossed a line, he is not solving the issue. He is moving the focus away from his behavior and putting the pressure on your reaction. That is the trick. Suddenly the problem is no longer what he did. The problem becomes how deeply you felt it. And if you accept that game, you slowly start editing yourself. You stop speaking honestly. You begin rehearsing your feelings before saying them. You ask yourself if you are allowed to feel hurt. You start shrinking in real time. Listen carefully. A healthy man does not punish you for having feelings. He may not fully understand you in every moment, but he will try. He will ask, well, what hurt you? He will want to know. He will not mock your reaction just because it inconveniences him. A man who keeps calling you too sensitive is often testing how much disrespect you will tolerate if he says it in a calm voice. And the danger is not only the moment itself. The danger is repetition. Over time, that phrase can train a woman to disconnect from her own intuition. And once that happens, manipulation gets much easier. So if he keeps doing this, do not debate your sensitivity. Protect it. Your sensitivity is not your weakness. In the right place, it is one of your strongest forms of intelligence. The second phrase is, I'm just being honest, especially when it comes after something sharp, cruel, or unnecessary. Maybe he insults your appearance. Maybe he mocks your dream. Maybe he makes a cutting comment about your family, your body, your age, your work, your friends, your voice, or the way you think. Then, the moment you react, he hides behind honesty like it is some noble shield. But honesty is not a free pass for disrespect. Truth without care can become violence. Let that sink in. Real honesty does not enjoy your pain. Real honesty does not try to break your spirit and then call it maturity. A caring person can say hard things with gentleness, with timing, with empathy, and with the clear goal of helping the connection, not damaging your self-worth. But when someone says hurtful things and then acts offended that you feel hurt, something darker is going on. He is not trying to communicate. He is trying to control the emotional frame. He wants the right to wound you and still appear righteous while you look weak for reacting. That is why this phrase is so dangerous. It trains women to accept cruelty as if it were depth. It makes them think love means having thick skin around someone who should be the safest person in the room. No, love is not constant exposure to someone else's harshness. Love does not require you to bleed quietly so another person can feel real. If a man speaks the truth with no kindness, no care, and no responsibility for impact, do not be impressed. Anybody can be blunt. It takes character to be honest and still protect the heart of the person you claim to value. Watch that closely. A cruel mouth often reveals a cold heart much faster than people want to admit. The third phrase is, you're being controlling, and it usually shows up right after you express a boundary, a need, or a standard. You say, please let me know if you're going to disappear all night. You say, do not speak to me like that. You say, I am not comfortable with this situation. You say, if we are serious, I need consistency. And suddenly he acts like you are trying to run his whole life. This is one of the cleanest manipulations in modern dating. Why? Because it punishes a woman for speaking clearly. It teaches her that asking for respect is somehow oppressive. But boundaries are not control. Boundaries are information. They tell another person what kind of treatment creates safety, trust, and peace for you. That is healthy. That is adult. That is necessary. The man who truly values you does not panic when you have standards. He listens. He may discuss them. He may even say what works for him and what does not. But he will not twist your self-respect into a character flaw just because it limits his convenience. A man who calls your standards controlling often wants access without responsibility. He wants your softness, your attention, your body, your loyalty, and your patience, but he does not want to be accountable for how he handles any of it. So he labels your needs as a problem, and this has hurt so many women because it teaches them to become easy, chill, and low maintenance at the cost of their own peace. They stop asking questions. They stop correcting disrespect. They stop naming what hurts. Then they call it maturity when really it is self-abandonment. If he cannot handle a calm, clear boundary, he is not afraid of control. He is afraid of losing the freedom to do whatever he wants while keeping full access to you. The fourth phrase is one that traps people for a very long time. It sounds like this: I'm not ready for a relationship, or I don't want anything serious right now, while his behavior keeps creating the feeling of a relationship anyway. He texts every day. He wants your time. He shares his wounds. He wants closeness, comfort, intimacy, support. He may take you out, stay over, introduce you to parts of his world, and act like you matter deeply to him. But when the topic of commitment comes up, he steps back and points to his disclaimer as if that erases the bond he has been building with you. This is where many women lose years, because it creates false hope mixed with emotional investment. He gets the warmth of a partner without the duty of being one. He gets your presence without making a clear choice. He gets loyalty while keeping an exit door wide open. And if you stay, you often start performing for commitment. You become extra patient, extra understanding, extra available, hoping that if you love well enough, he will finally choose you. But a man who wants to choose you does not usually create that much confusion. He does not enjoy the benefits of depth while refusing the name, structure, and responsibility that depth requires. And yes, some people are genuinely unsure at certain stages of life. That can be true, but you must watch the full picture. If he is unsure, let him be unsure away from your heart. Do not volunteer yourself as a temporary home while he figures out whether you are valuable enough to keep. That arrangement almost always costs the woman more. If he says he is not ready, believe the part that protects you. Do not build a fantasy around the rest. Clarity is kindness. Confusion is expensive. And this is the kind of confusion that can quietly steal your self-worth one compromise at a time. Now we come to the fifth phrase, and this one is so subtle that many women do not notice the damage until much later. The phrase is, "You've changed," or worse, "You've changed and not for the better." It may be said with sadness. It may be said with disappointment. It may even sound soft, but beneath it is a very dangerous message. Become smaller again because your growth is making me uncomfortable. Maybe you started setting firmer boundaries. Maybe you stopped tolerating late-night disrespect. Maybe you began focusing more on your goals, your healing, your work, your peace, your health. Maybe you became harder to confuse. And instead of celebrating that, he acts like the old version of you was better, easier, sweeter, more fun, less intense, less difficult. But what he often means is this: you were easier to benefit from when you had less clarity. That is the part many women miss. Growth changes relationship dynamics. A woman who once accepted breadcrumbs may stop accepting them. A woman who once over-explained may become direct. A woman who once bent herself to keep love may finally stand straight. And the wrong man will experience her growth as a threat, not because growth is wrong, but because it reduces his power. This phrase cuts deep because it makes a woman question her evolution. It makes her wonder if becoming stronger has made her less lovable. It makes her feel guilty for taking up more space. But hear me well, the right man does not resent your growth. He is not intimidated by your healing. He does not punish you for becoming wiser. He does not ask you to return to the version of yourself that had weaker boundaries just so he can feel more comfortable. If your growth keeps costing you access to certain people, do not panic. That is not always a loss. Sometimes that is proof that your new self can no longer fit inside old patterns that were quietly draining your life. And this is where the deeper lesson begins, because these 5 phrases are not dangerous only because of the words themselves. They are dangerous because of the patterns they create inside you if you keep staying. First, you start explaining his behavior. Then you start doubting your reactions. Then you begin reducing your needs. Then you accept confusion as normal. Then you apologize for your growth. And one day you wake up in a relationship where you barely recognize yourself. You are tired all the time. You overthink every message. You feel lonely even when someone is beside you. You become excellent at understanding him and terrible at understanding yourself. That is how it happens. Not all at once. Slowly, quietly, through repeated moments that seem too small to leave over. This is why you must stop waiting for one dramatic event before you permit yourself to walk away. Sometimes the pattern is the proof. Sometimes the energy after the conversation is the proof. Sometimes your body tensing every time his name appears is the proof. Stay with me here because this matters. A lot of women are not trapped because they lack intelligence. They are trapped because they keep looking for courtroom-level evidence when their spirit has already delivered the verdict. You do not need 10 more examples of the same disrespect just to validate what you already feel. You do not need to be destroyed before your pain becomes legitimate. You are allowed to leave earlier. You are allowed to leave when the pattern becomes clear. You are allowed to leave when peace keeps disappearing around a person who claims to care about you. That is not weakness. That is wisdom arriving on time. Now let me say something important because this is where people often get confused. This message is not telling you that every disagreement is manipulation. It is not saying that every hard conversation means run. Healthy relationships still require patience, communication, repair, and grace. People can miss each other. People can say the wrong thing and then correct it. People can have wounds and still be good-hearted. The issue is not one imperfect moment. The issue is repeated language that pushes you away from your own reality and into a smaller version of yourself. The issue is what his words consistently produce inside you. Do you feel safer after conflict or more unstable? Do you feel more seen or more erased? Does the relationship invite honesty or make you fear speaking? Does love feel like room to grow or pressure to shrink? These are the real questions, and if you keep answering them honestly, you will save yourself. Because manipulation is often less about obvious evil and more about consistent distortion. It is being pulled away from your center a little at a time. It is being trained to betray your instincts in exchange for temporary closeness. It is learning to call pain normal because you are scared of losing the person who causes it. But closeness without safety is not intimacy. It is exposure. And chemistry without respect becomes chaos fast. So if you have been telling yourself, maybe I'm just asking for too much, pause right there. Wanting honesty, care, consistency, and emotional safety is not asking for too much. It is asking for the minimum required for love to stay healthy. Anything that makes you feel guilty for needing that deserves a closer look. Here is another truth many people need to hear. Not every man who says these phrases is a villain in the dramatic sense. Some are immature, some are selfish, some are emotionally lazy, some are deeply wounded and never learned how to love without protecting their ego first. But whether the harm comes from cruelty, carelessness, or confusion, the effect on you can still be serious. And this is where many women get stuck. They say, but he had a hard past. But he does care in his own way. But he is trying. Maybe all of that is true. But someone's pain does not cancel your pain. Someone's brokenness does not create a contract that you must sacrifice yourself to prove your compassion. You are not required to stay in situations that keep hurting you simply because you understand why the other person is hurting. Understanding is not the same as responsibility. Empathy is beautiful, but without boundaries, it turns into self-betrayal. Watch this in your own life. Are you loving people through a season, or are you repeatedly volunteering to be their emotional shelter while they tear holes in your peace? There is a difference, a very big one, and if you keep confusing the two, you can spend years being noble on the outside while feeling empty on the inside. The truth is simple, even if it is painful. Love should not require constant translation. Respect should not feel rare. Commitment should not feel like a reward for endurance. And if you are always the one bending, understanding, waiting, calming, and explaining, ask yourself this honestly: is this a relationship, or am I carrying the whole emotional structure alone? Because if you are the only one protecting the connection, then the connection is already telling you something. So what should you do with all this? Start with observation. Not panic, not fantasy. Observation. Watch how you feel after interactions. Watch whether his words match his behavior. Watch whether he gets curious when you are hurt or defensive the second you speak. Watch whether your boundaries are respected faster over time or challenged more aggressively every time you reinforce them. Watch whether your life expands around him or slowly contracts. This is huge. The right connection makes you more alive, more honest, more peaceful, more inspired. Not perfect, but stronger in yourself. The wrong one makes you tired, smaller, and strangely disconnected from the woman you were before the bond got deep. And please notice this too. When you are with someone healthy, you do not have to spend all day decoding tone, reading hidden meanings, and replaying conversations like a detective. You do not have to earn basic respect through performance. You do not have to become less emotional, less ambitious, less expressive, less clear, less alive just to keep him comfortable. That kind of peace is not peace. It is suppression wearing pretty clothes. And if this is hitting close to home, do not look away. This may be the part that changes everything for you. Sometimes the breakthrough is not learning a new rule. Sometimes it is finally admitting what you already know. That the pattern has been there, that the discomfort has been real. That your spirit has been trying to get your attention for months, maybe longer. Listen now. The price of ignoring yourself is always higher than the price of walking away from the wrong person. And yes, there are good men in this world. Men who do not play with your emotions just because they can. Men who do not insult your sensitivity. Men who do not use honesty as a knife. Men who do not treat your boundaries like a threat. Men who are clear when they want you. Men who feel honored by your growth instead of frightened by it. But you will miss these men if you keep burning your energy trying to make unhealthy situations feel normal. You will miss them if your standards disappear every time attachment gets involved. You will miss them if you call suffering chemistry and call inconsistency depth. Real love does not need constant excuses. It does not ask you to abandon your intuition at the door. It does not improve only when you are quiet, compliant, endlessly forgiving, and afraid to lose it. Real love can handle truth. Real love can handle boundaries. Real love can handle a woman who knows her worth and does not apologize for it. And maybe this is the reminder you needed today. You do not have to become harder to be protected. You have to become clearer. Clear about what you feel. Clear about what you allow. Clear about what is no longer negotiable. That clarity is not bitterness. It is self-respect in action. It is the end of confusion as a lifestyle. It is the moment you stop auditioning for a place in someone's life and start recognizing whether they are qualified to have a place in yours. Read that again in your mind. That shift alone can save you years, maybe even change your whole future. So if a man says these kinds of things to you, do not rush to prove that you are understanding, patient, cool, and impossible to offend. That performance has cost too many women too much. Instead, pause. Get quiet. Feel what his words did inside you. Ask yourself whether this connection protects your spirit or keeps collecting pieces of it. Ask whether you feel more grounded or more confused. Ask whether love here is making you more yourself or less. And if the answer keeps hurting, believe it. You are not here to train someone into basic decency. You are not here to beg for clarity. You are not here to trade your peace for potential. You are not here to stay in the fire just because you hope the smoke will clear. Walk away sooner. Walk away cleaner. Walk away before your standards become memories. Because every time you leave a space that dishonors you, you send a message to yourself that your heart is worth protecting. And that message changes everything. It changes what you tolerate. It changes what you attract. It changes how you carry yourself into every room after that. If this spoke to you, hold on to it. Come back to it. Let it sharpen your discernment. And remember this final truth. The right person will not require you to shrink, chase, decode, or endure emotional hunger just to feel chosen. The right person will bring peace with their presence, not confusion with their words. And the moment you truly understand that, you stop begging life for love and start recognizing love by the respect it leaves behind.